Warning, this podcast contains cheerleaders.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Riverdale, Season 1, Episode 1, Chapter 1, The River's Edge. I'm your host, Nikki, for the first time in a really long time, and with me today is Dom, Jacob, and Kim.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
How did everyone like Riverdale?
I'm so far digging it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel attacked.
Oh my God.
You feel attacked as a ginger? I don't understand. Why, Kim?
I don't know. All the ginger jokes. I like it. At first, you just, at first, the very first couple scenes, it's like, I don't know, there was this hatred going on. It was just it felt like it was all just I'm just what the hell is going on?
It turns out
Was
this
it-
town's really religious, and so they
It's
just hate every
like-
single ginger.
It's
Because
like
we have no souls.
it's
Exactly.
like Pleasantville, except they've had a modern take on it.
Yeah.
I felt that.
So-
I definitely felt that a little.
For
Yeah.
me, my head does not want to wrap around the fact that this is set in present day when it's got a 1940s,
It's
50s vibe to it.
It's stuck in the 50s, but with even Betty, she's channeling Sandra Dee.
Yeah, the way she dresses, especially she's got the cloth, top on like that, and it's just it's I feel like the show's taking place in the late 40s, early 50s, and then they're using iTunes and they're on laptops, and
And they have Twitter.
yeah, I can't wrap my head around it, so I'm having a hard time with that. But with that aside, when I eventually get by that, because it'll happen, the show really just feels like another Pretty Little Liars to me.
It
Right
has
now,
that feel.
A little bit, yeah.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not. Pretty Little Liars have had their ups and downs. I am going to say, though, I was a little more invested in the first episode of Pretty Little Liars compared to Riverdale. I think what Riverdale has going for it is its established characters, through... This is the Archie comics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was never big into those, so I don't know a lot of these characters. Obviously, I know Archie, and I knew the cheerleader blonde girl,
Betty.
Betty.
I'm calling her Sandra Dee.
Okay.
But, I can see how people are going to be more invested in this than the start of Pretty Little Liars for that reason. But as someone who's coming and not really knowing anything from either, I think that whole mystery around A, in particular for Pretty Little Liars, is what got me hooked, rather than who shot some dude in the head that was
The whodunit
having
kinda
a
deal.
weird, having a weird
Whodunit
almost
did it.
relationship style boat ride with his sister.
Okay, I wasn't the only one that was thinking incest. Read them all,
That's what I thought they were going with, because so Archie never really went there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when, and when I first saw the trailer for this, I'm like, okay, it's edgier, and then this started happening. I'm like, wait, hold on, what's going on? What? No. Oh, okay.
I mean, it does have a way darker premise than the original Archie comics. Definitely. The Archie comics are very lighthearted, and they had this goofy kind of way of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
It was the 50s, so
It was from 1941, I want to say. I think that's when they started the Archie comics.
That's probably why you have that overarching.
Right,
Yeah.
and that makes sense, and that is for people that grew up with them. This show, it fits perfect for them. For me, who didn't pay much attention, I was more Peanuts. That's kind of where I stopped when it came to the comics.
Gotcha.
And Spider-Man, and stuff like that was in the comic books. He had a newspaper strip for a very long time, Spider-Man in there. But from someone that didn't do that, it's really hard for me to wrap my head around this time setting with modern stuff in it. It's weird. It's just very weird for me.
Well, I just feel like it's a town that,
Well,
I mean, it's
mentioned
obviously
it.
an old town, but
They mentioned
They
it. The
just-
girl, who's the girl with the black hair? What's her name?
Veronica Lodge.
When she came in and she's talking about the school, when was this school built? Oh, well, it hasn't been updated since then either. She kind of like poked it, and it's like the whole town is that way, you know?
yeah, this town didn't like evolve with the rest of the world.
I feel like it was really isolated, and that's why it's not up to to snuff with everything else.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
small towns kind of end up like that anyway. They're a little bit behind the times compared to the rest of the world, even though the younger generation is going to have the iTunes and the
Yeah.
Twitter and
But
understand what's going on in the world like that. But the town itself is going to stay in that, state.
which I like because there's something. I love stories that take place in small towns because they can be really, really charming and romantic, but they can also be really creepy. And there's this. I forgot exactly what was said in like that opening speech in the beginning of the episode. It's like, yeah, it's all Pleasantville, sunshines and rainbows, but like no, behind closed doors, it's like really fucked up.
And
Also, the way small towns are.
I speak from experience. I grew up in a small town. It's exactly like that. It seems very charming on the surface, but like when you dig deep with the people of the town, and it's just like, who's screwing this person over? And it's
Bad shit happens in every town, even small ones.
But the thing is, when it's small ones, it gets blown out of proportion. But this is different.
Yeah.
It's a murder.
Everybody
It's
knows. Everybody
because-
knows everybody.
Exactly. It's because everyone knows everyone, and everybody's got their nose in everybody else's business.
I mean, you guys, you need to just leave each other alone. Can we do that, please? Then things would be so much more simpler. I mean, every single small town where everyone knows everyone, bad shit happens. Everyone's always dying. Okay. Like
That's all they have to do. Like literally, okay.
Like there's Willamette. You got Raccoon City. You got Silent Hill.
That's just what people do. It's
You got
just a thing.
Haddonfield. All the things. All the
I
towns.
mean, you don't see the whole town gathered around a body drag in a lake. Like, you have volunteers, but you don't have the whole town just sitting there observing the
I'm sure
lake
that
being body dragged.
was the whole town.
I assume that no. There's
Sorry.
a lot more people in Riverdale than we think.
All this conversation just reminds me is my I'm from a small town. My dad still lives in that small town, and he is like the gossip king. He goes over to the coffee shop, and they're all at the coffee shop, and they're just talking about what's going on.
Wow. Yeah. My
dad knows
grandparents were
everything.
like that.
I get phone calls. So this person is dead. I'm like, who? I don't know what this person is. I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone else knew who you were talking about.
So, we've already nailed down that it's a different feel than the actual comics, the original comics that people grew up on. Did anybody really tag who was narrating?
It was I believe
Jughead.
I could be wrong, but it was Jughead.
It was
Yeah,
Jughead.
I'm
the-
pretty sure
the
it's
writer.
Jughead. Because
No.
yeah, he is a writer.
He is a
And,
writer.
Like it's all like he kept like narrating, so it's like structured like a story.
Mhm.
And these episode titles, they're called chapters.
Mhm.
So what I'm thinking is this is all his book because later in the episode he mentioned, yeah, he's writing a novel. So it's very possible that all the things that we're seeing are just what he's been reporting.
Mhm.
And that's why these are split into chapters. These are literally chapters of his book.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's definitely the feel that I got. Like this guy who I didn't know if it was a book he was writing or if it was a blog at first or what it was. But now that you mentioned the episode titles are named chapters and stuff like that, kind of all makes sense to me that it's going to be an actual published book.
And he's going to call them Archie comics.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but in the comics, Jughead and Archie were like besties, right?
Yeah, it's definitely The show isn't an adaptation of the comics. It's more of taking these characters and just making their own story and just putting it like their own spin on it. So it sounds like they were friends because they talk to each other as if they were old friends. But like something happened where they had a bit of a falling out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm interested to find out what exactly happened. I kind of have a feeling it has to do with Betty.
The way they talked about Betty sounded like what I'm going to assume is they were all three of those three people were friends. Jughead, Betty, and Archie. And I'm gonna say that Jughead had a thing for Betty, but Betty had a thing for Archie.
Yeah.
And she still does.
Was he named Jughead in this episode? Because I didn't catch that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he was. I'm just like, we have a couple characters, like, I think it's Reggie and Moose. Those aren't their real names. But everybody actually has, like, nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Betty is actually named Elizabeth, so Betty is her nickname. Veronica, they call Ronnie, and, can just go down the list.
Okay.
Yeah. My bad. Sorry. I don't know. I think I know the actor that plays Archie is not a real redhead. He's not.
Okay, the red dye is really bright. It is. Damn obvious it's not.
Y'all remember Merida in Once Upon a Time?
Exactly. That's exactly where my head went to. Just entirely too fake.
It's
like they took a Sharpie and just.
It's not nearly as bad as Abraham from The Walking Dead. His I think is the worst out of anybody's, to be honest. That was just obnoxious. But this has got more of like a copper, like a bright copper feel to it. Like a very fresh penny. Like that's what his head reminds me of.
Fresh
it's
penny.
Pretty though.
Yeah, not like the penny that sits around and it's like got that dark brown to it. I mean like the shiny copper penny. Like that's what his hair reminded me of.
I mean, it did look good on him, but you can obviously tell that he's not a real redhead because of his big, bushy eyebrows. That they had to do a lot of work in the middle here. You could tell he probably had only one brow for a while, and they had to. I mean, that's what it looked like to me.
I don't know. I think it's a pretty color.
It is, and the character itself. I mean, it is the first episode. Not all the characters are fleshed out, but I expected him to be more chipper.
Maybe wood chipper.
He's going.
I don't know. He's very. I don't know. He's like the typical boy next door kind of deal. He's kind of boring to me, actually.
I feel like he's got some teenage angst. He's got some broody.
Oh yeah. Well, they all do. And like the puberty truck hit him like majorly from what all the other characters are saying.
Yeah.
Now, in the comics, does Archie and Betty have last names, or they're just first name basis?
Yes.
Did they make the last names? They do. Okay.
Yeah. Everybody has last names.
Okay.
I don't remember if Veronica was in the comics from the get-go, like her family lived there, but there's always been that love triangle between those two, or those three. Can't have a triangle with two people, duh.
Really?
Yeah, that they established that really quickly here. It's like, kissing cheerleaders, both going to the dance together, with Archie chaperoning, and then you have Veronica and Archie in the closet. Then you have Betty like hanging out the window in her bra, like looking over, at the shirtless guy across the street. They definitely set this triangle up.
Speaking of that whole scene of, like, it's at the very beginning with Betty and her friend Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
Is Kevin I don't remember if Kevin was a character from the original comics.
I don't remember either. Well, if it was the 50s, he probably wasn't.
Yeah, I know they're trying to throw diversity out there because I mean that's what the CW does, especially now. He's very forward.
Kevin is gay. They
Yes.
outright said that.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
And
they made that very clear.
I had no clue because this is me coming from somebody who's not, I never watched the comics. I'm going to say that a million times. But I was really, really confused during that scene because we have her fawning over this guy. She's sitting in her bra doing whatever, at a mirror for like 20 minutes with this guy in her room. And then she's
didn't get
over
that
there.
immediately?
She's over there drooling. So at first, I'm like, is this her brother? Like, I didn't know what the hell was going on. And I'm like, this show is really disturbing
really.
to me.
I think I picked up on it immediately.
I-
Like,
I-
oh,
Yeah.
hey, best friend.
I was,
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yep.
I was,
They point out everything what he is in this show. Blatantly
Oh,
say gay best friend.
they did afterwards. I got that after. I'm saying this is the first scene.
But how did you not get it?
Until he started drooling out the window, I had no clues.
Okay.
I do like
No,
his
Dom
character.
doesn't get it.
I know, I just like I like his character.
Yeah, he's actually a refreshing character
and
compared to the
apparently
rest.
he's been to this town's local strip club, the Ho Zone.
Yeah.
For a small town,
hoe-
that's surprising that they have a
Yeah.
strip club.
They have a strip club and they have a gay bar.
Oh, gay bar. But still, for a small town.
Wait, what are you doing at a gay bar?
What?
You're in high school, dude.
Maybe an all ages bar.
You-
I've been to a few of
Yeah.
those. Where
Yeah, they do. Sometimes they'll have like special nights.
Yeah, well, we have a place. I've only been to a few times because I'm not big into country music or anything like that. But it's what they call a country bar, and it's got a mechanical bull riding and stuff like that. But it's an all
that's
ages
cool.
bar. Yeah, it's an all ages bar, so kids can go there and drink. And when you go in, you get a wristband if you're able to drink, and then you can drink. If you're not able to drink, you still can go and ride the horse and dance and do whatever. You just can't get a drink.
We had a club in Tempe when I was in Arizona that certain nights they did under 18.
Yeah. I mean, they
I
serve
never
food and
was-
stuff, so.
Yeah, I never had
Well,
that. So,
That's what this town does. You got some things to do in this boring ass town.
yeah.
I do like Kevin's character because he's gay, but he's not gay. He didn't like try out for cheerleading or anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Veronica and Sandra D did.
Yes.
Again, you're beating us over the head with this Sandra D similarities. That's what she is. Come on.
She does have the girl next door syndrome, which is
So does Archie.
she's just not so much because of all
Well,
his
he's-
summer stuff that he did, which we'll talk about.
His extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extra,
No, but
trying to get extra credit.
Betty's the conservative, traditional, like high morals and just, making good
was.
decisions. Not-
Yeah.
I said Betty, not Archie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
So
her
she-
mother wants her to be
Yeah,
that way.
her mother
psycho.
is. Oh, I.
I think her mother's completely reasonable.
Yeah.
You would.
I'm kidding.
No, the moment I saw her in I didn't know who she was in the very first scene where they're dredging the lake or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, he deserved it." I didn't know who that was, and then
Hey,
when
maybe
I saw,
maybe he did. Maybe
He
we
probably
don't know.
did, let's be honest.
he probably did, but for her to be malicious enough to be in the group of people that are mourning and say that to her husband, not like she boop, just spit it out. And then I saw her being like, she was Betty's mom. I was like, oh, this is not good. She's going to be one of those super controlling mothers. And
she, well, yeah, she is, and like
We don't
Sandra
know
D's
her
only
reasoning,
a
though.
sophomore.
We don't know her
Well,
reasoning. That's
we
the
know
problem.
that she's being overprotective because of what happened to her sister. But sounds like she
Well-
might have still been a bitch then too, because it looks like
Yeah.
she sent her
Oh,
Like her-
100%. But like, it's more than that. It's more than the hatred for the family, and it's more than what the sister did, and that's definitely going to be uncovered, as this goes on.
Mhm.
We don't know the full story. That's not the whole reason why she's mad.
Not at all. But I mean, Betty did say, like, yeah, Polly was really broken up about being dumped by Jason.
So apparently,
Jason.
apparently Jason was. So they had a thing. Sandra D's sister and Jason, who was the guy who died. I'm gonna keep calling her that.
And I'm gonna laugh every time.
So Sandra D's sister and Jason had a thing, but apparently she was all into it, and like he really didn't give a fuck.
Mm-hmm. So it broke her
But-
heart.
Yeah, but Sandra D said that her mother. Sandra D said her mother didn't approve of him whatsoever, but like it wasn't Jason who really broke her. It was her mother.
Yeah, her mother
And her-
threw her over the deep end, and that's why she's in the group home.
She said, Sandra D said, her mother disowned her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's like the
And
whole
she's
starting
going to-
premise.
I don't know why this mother has a thing against gingers, because she hates Sandra D for even going out with Archie.
That's what I said. Like right at the very beginning, I felt like I was attacked. I'm like, because she's the one that gave that whole arcing out, this whole ginger
Yeah.
thing, and I'm just like, whoa, what's
Can't
going on?
believe you're going out with that redhead idiot.
Like,
Excuse me, what?
Was, this whole town was against gingers. I'm like, oh
She
god.
was against
Well,
cheerleading too.
she does it.
Oh,
Yeah, what's wrong with cheerleading?
I don't know.
It's probably the skirt. It's not conservative enough.
Yeah, exactly.
conservative.
I'm thinking it's that.
Cassandra D was not brought up that way.
Well, no, she mentioned she mentioned that it had to do with the sister Cheryl Blossom, right? It was her cheerleading squad and all that,
Yeah.
and you're not part of her cheerleading
Cherry
squad.
Blossom.
Yeah, so
Cherry Blossom, because she wore a cherry on her shirt.
okay, yeah, so I don't I feel like if it wasn't her cheerleading squad, it may have been okay, but because
Maybe.
she's associated with Jason, and Jason put the sister, and
Yeah.
we don't know. Clearly there was other things going on in that relationship. I'm sure we'll see some flashbacks. I'm sure the character of Jason is not gone, even though he's dead. We're gonna see some flashbacks. But unlike Pretty Little Liars, there's no way that they're gonna be able to bring Jason back from the dead. And if they
no,
do,
not with a big bullet hole right in the middle of the forehead.
if they
Yeah,
do,
so he didn't-
then I'm definitely not continuing this show. So
Because then it kind of
it just went from murder mystery to paranormal and weird.
well, because they had liberties to get away with that on Pretty Little Liars because there was no body ever found, right?
Right.
And I mean there was, but there was loopholes and things around. It ended up, there was ways that they got around it, and it was because the body was found years later in a decomposed state, so they were not convinced it was her,
Yep.
and stuff like that. Where this, it's literally a week later, not even.
Well, I thought it was going to be a long running thing where they didn't find the body, and it turns out he was alive. That was my initial theory. I'm like, oh, he's not dead. Oh, never mind. So apparently, what they thought had happened, they thought he drowned. But Judge had later on in the episode said, well, he was captain of the water polo team. I don't think he drowned.
yeah, he
did
was.
find out.
He knew how to swim.
It's different depending on. It looked like a pretty, quiet lake, but it depends because we also saw there are some rapid areas in that lake, and depending on where he went over, rapids could do. You could submerge you pretty quickly, hit your head on a rock. It could do
I, from
it.
personal experience, know that even though I know how to swim, if you fall just right, I did in a river, and I fell just toward the point where I couldn't flip out of the water and almost drowned.
And
Thankfully,
luckily, no one shot at you.
Yeah. Well,
that
that's the big thing is the shot. We find out that Archie and Hot for Teacher, was that Sublime?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Miss Grundy.
Yeah.
Mm. Archie, no.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with that, but we find out
Oh,
that
I
they
know
heard a
what's going on.
gunshot. They heard a gunshot, which she thought was fireworks. Archie
Just
definitely thought it was a
No,
gunshot.
she didn't.
She didn't think they were
She
fun.
didn't. That's was what she just said.
That was her story, and she's sticking to it.
Yeah, that's her
Well,
cover
See,
story.
now I'm quoting country. I don't.
Hey.
What's wrong with me?
It's like they said, "Who's lighting fireworks at 6 a.m.?" I will tell you who's lighting fireworks at 6 a.m. My neighbors, because I'm not even kidding. They do that in broad daylight. I don't know why.
Mine do too.
I have to.
Especially when there's something to celebrate.
But
A
there's
lot of
nothing to
people just
celebrate
don't.
here.
4th of July will get them going off at like 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, what?
They did it yesterday.
Okay.
Well, just cause they felt like it.
Yeah, I don't know about this Miss Grundy, because I remember her as being a really lanky old lady with a hair bun, just white hair, and like big old friggin' nose.
You know, they have all these, beauty regimens, and medical science and all that.
Yeah, she's like 80 years old, but looks younger than me.
I know.
Yeah.
She's probably 40 or.
I don't. When they did the scene where he's like, all sweaty and wiping his face with his
I thought this was like
shirt,
a
and
dream
She looked really young there, which like her hair
Yeah,
all down. And
when she was driving by and she's like slurping the Slurpee all like seductively. Yeah, I was like, is that the same person? What? Let me just.
I thought she was imagining this. I'm like, ew, lady, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that was a twist I wasn't expecting. I definitely not. Totally not. Nasty. But then, we find out that Archie, he was actually kind of soul searching that whole summer.
Soul searching.
Soul searching.
I mean, he's so tortured. Oh my god.
Oh god.
It's super dark.
His daddy made him work all summer, so he had to write poetry and lyrics because he was so down on himself. But to be fair, it sounded pretty good.
Oh, no.
I mean, the iTunes clip that we heard, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think this is gonna do you think it's gonna be a song that they release to like promote the show?
Well, I would think they would release it before, or maybe they're just like getting a whole album ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually do like a soundtrack for TV shows and stuff like that. So.
If anything, I think Josie and the Pussycats would come out with something before.
I was like, wow.
I saw them and I melted. I was just like, yes, because they did that really stupid movie, even though I still kind of enjoy it with I don't even remember her name because she hasn't been in anything recently. Yeah. And I was really like hyped for that.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing them and like a retelling of them and how sassy Josie is, I was just like, oh my god, I love you so much.
Like, what's wrong, Josie? You're a bitch. What happened?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was. Well, as soon as I saw the Kitty Ears, I immediately knew who they were.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Just knowing what era like Archie comics came from and them, it's just like that was cool. I wasn't expecting it, but
see, that's the part that's confusing to me. It's because it's like taking this band and bringing them into modern times, but from the past, and I'm like, what is going on right now? Like, that's where my head just can't wrap around this.
Josie and her band have always been a few steps in front of the genre or like the theme of when they've always been like a pop kind of deal. Yeah. Even in the 50s. So
they were like 70s before the 70s.
Exactly. So they've evolved with the times, unlike a lot of the other characters and environments in this show.
No, I get that, but I mean the literal Josie and the Pussycats that existed in 19 whatevers and are now in present day as younger, it's weird to me.
They've always been the same age as Archie and the girls, the rest of the characters. Is that what you're? They've always been Archie comics. They've always been the same age group. They've always been going to school with them. It's just one of those garage bands that you always happen in high schools.
Yeah. They have their I don't know. They said Josie said something about like their cat ears. She's like, oh, you're staring at her ears. This is like our image or whatever. Like
You're
when you guys
staring
were
at
like
our
performing at
pussy
the
ears, they said.
yeah, yeah.
And at that point, I was like, what? Like,
Well, I'm glad you said ears after that.
I
because,
think
like,
it was.
huh?
That's how they worded it, right?
That is how they
Ears.
worded it, but like she said pussy first. I'm like,
Yeah.
huh? Oh, okay, okay.
Okay, I want to make sure that I wasn't just like going insane for a second there. They did say that. Okay.
But you were not okay. You like made a big deal about those ears. You were not wearing those at the dance.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
And you were doing, and you like prided yourself on like doing the songs that we write because like we create stories. But no, you're doing a fucking cover song about like a song that Jason and Miss Cherry Blossom were conceived to. It's
I was like,
I
why
I
would you
don't
be able to come out and
even-
say that?
she said it all.
Like,
She said it all casually, like just so nonchalantly. Here they are doing a cover of the song my parents claimed that they were listening to while we were conceived.
I have a feeling
Okay.
that a lot of Josie, like the choice to do the gig for that, the semi-formal was half because they wanted
paid
to
them.
they got paid exposure, and because Cheryl said they had to.
Well, yeah, because Cheryl is like,
She's fear-mongering. She's just like she's relentless, and
well, you know
I
what?
think-
There's a new bitch in town.
yeah.
And I love that scene with
Oh my God.
where they're trying out for cheerleading. It was so I love Veronica. She was like, okay, because they were trying out for cheerleading and they were doing it together, Veronica and Sandra D. And Cheryl, you know, she's just like staring them down. She's like, okay, do a cheer. She's like, oh, you guys did terrible. So, like, where's the fire? And then we had that completely random out of nowhere. I don't even know.
I didn't get
this
that
didn't
either.
make sense to me. I don't
The
know
kiss.
why, but Veronica like just like immediately just planted a giant one on Sandra D, and I don't even know what was going on there.
yeah,
The lipstick smudging all over her
It
face.
just and it
It's just-
stayed there. It
yeah,
stayed
she just
there.
left it. She's like, oh well, shit, that just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, she really didn't like have much of a reaction to. She's like, oh, okay.
That happened.
Mhm.
And then Cheryl is like, she's trying to get Sandra D to not be Sandra D by because you know cheerleading tryouts have an interview portion of the tryouts, and she's like oh like did Sandra D tell you about like what happened with her sister and my brother? And basically she wants Sandra D to like just bitch about her brother because she wants her to she wants
Fight
Sandra D
back.
to be like her. And
You're confusing me.
but Veronica, you were a great friend because like you stood up for Sandra D, and you were like, you know what, bitch, you want fire? Okay, let me tell you something, Miss Honey Cabbage. My flavor is ice.
Honey cabbage.
Yeah, Miss, okay, that's what I'm gonna call her now. I'm gonna call her Miss Honey Cabbage.
Honey cabbage.
You want to be a cherry blossom, but you're a honey cabbage.
I totally like Veronica in this telling. I mean, because there's a lot of times she was exactly like Cheryl in the comics, and she was just insufferable. I'm sure we're going to see some of that because she does come from a rich girl line.
Well,
but
she was like that.
yes, in New York, where she's from, in this story, anyways. Yeah, she her father got detained for fraud and embezzlement,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
so they lost money.
And everybody in the town hates
Nope.
him.
They
They
all
know
know about
and
it.
hate about
They
him,
all
yeah.
know it now.
Yeah, well, I mean, he screwed Hermione. Is that her mom's name, Hermione?
Hermione, that's what it sounded like. That's what I'm calling
Yeah,
her.
I mean, that's what it sounded like to me. I couldn't exactly hear how Smithers was saying it.
Leviosa.
But Veronica's mom and Veronica don't really have much money right now, and they're kind of, scraping the bottom of the barrel. But then,
She goes to Archie's dad for a job, and he's like,
yeah.
I can't exactly have the person, that
Is
is
that
in
the
an
guy from
embezzlement
90210?
issue in charge of my books.
90210?
Is that guy? No.
Don't know, but he
I think
does
it's
look
him.
really familiar.
Um,
Don't remember his dad's name.
He was in a lot of stuff when he was
He-
younger.
Yeah, he was. I do know him from other shows and movies and stuff. So there's that. But yeah, but her mom finds a missing bag that she didn't know was missing, but I guess it's from
I'm like, it's Jason.
Her
He's in
husband?
there somehow.
it's his head. Whoa.
Or something
No,
else. But,
it's a bunch of money.
yeah.
Like, what are you? How
it-
can you?
Is it the embezzlement money?
Let's let's hope she turns it in.
Hey, can we talk about in this scene with the money? Can we talk about her dress? Because there was a zipper. She had a jacket and she had a skirt. And there was a zipper on the jacket, because it's a jacket. But there was a zipper in the front of her skirt that went all the way to the crotch area. I'm like, what are you wearing?
That's actually something that's actually fashionable from.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a.
I remember when I was young going through my mom's and my grandma's wardrobe and finding skirts like that, like just stuffed in the back of their closet and drawers and like pulling them out and going, why?
And you're right, Luke Perry, 90210.
Luke Perry?
90210.
Yes.
He was in
999.
the Buffy
Beverly
the
Hills
Vampire Slayer movie.
Yes, he was.
Oh my god, that's why he looks so familiar. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. Just saying.
Interesting.
Brian in chat. Yes, there was a live action
Mhm.
Josie and the Pussycats, and
Yes, there was.
I think if you liked the live action Scooby Doo movie, you might like the Josie and the Pussycats movie.
Oh, but the live action Scooby Doo was much better than that. So much better.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
The first one was.
Yes, the first one.
Second one.
I like them
don't
both.
know about.
I love both of them. I think. Okay, the first Scooby Doo live action movie is a guilty pleasure for most people.
Yeah.
For me, I'm proud that I liked the second one.
Okay.
Nobody liked Scrappy Doo. That's why the first one was amazing because they made him
Yeah.
a bad
Well,
villain.
what would
thing.
make them both better is if Justin Gingerlake starred in them.
I like that cast. I think that cast has great chemistry, and of course we have Buffy in that movie.
That's what Josie called Archie, is Justin Gingerlake. Yeah, that was.
I think they should totally do a Archie, Josie, Scooby Doo crossover. At least have a reference to Scooby Doo in the show. Can we have that?
Yeah,
please?
yeah. There was a crossover, wasn't there, at one point?
There probably was. I didn't.
There's a
see
cartoon.
it.
The cartoon
Yeah.
version. Yeah, there
Yeah.
was.
Oh yeah, wait, yeah, totally. When Scooby Doo was doing that thing where like they just had random celebrity guest appearances.
Yes. we
Scooby
heard
Doo and the
these-
Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they had that. Scooby Doo meets Batman and Robin.
They extended the show. The show was longer, and they started adding all of like these celebrities.
Yeah, yeah. We haven't even talked about Pop Tate's. That was the first diner I ever heard of. Like in Canada, there's no diners. Seriously, where I'm from, there's no diners.
Really?
I had never been to a diner until I came
No,
to
no, no,
New York. So I was in my
they have the best
mid-20s
food.
before I ever got to experience a diner. So
They're awesome.
as soon as I
They
heard
are.
the
They're
reference to
delicious.
Pop Tate's, I was like, yes, because he's a chocolate shop, but he sells burgers and fries.
Veronica's like, what's a chocolate shop?
Everybody goes there apparently. So
To be
Yeah.
fair,
Well,
I don't
it
have
was
any
dead.
around here, so I didn't know what it was either. Like, Kim, you're kind of from the same area as me. Are you used to these chocolate shops?
Um,
I mean, you've been living a few other places, but they're not common here.
well, I mean, we have the diner. We have diners. They don't
Well,
call
yeah.
them chocolate.
Yeah.
no, it was
No.
it was Veronica's mom that called it a chocolate shop. Pop Tate's is a diner. It's referred to as a diner by other characters.
I'm used to that though. Like Indiana, we had them.
Okay.
They're like it's a small town thing. It's another
Yeah.
like, they call them because it's supposed to be like shakes. They call them chocolate shop.
Or malt.
Mm.
So they're like malts. Yeah, mulch.
Yeah, a malt shop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Johnny
I've
Rockets.
never heard anyone call it a malt shop. I mean, that's
But it's well, that's
but that's what they used to call them.
Yeah.
They call it chocolate shop, shake shop. They're like burgers and shakes. Yes, like Johnny Rockets, but
Hmm.
And they closed.
A&W.
Closed one by me, and I was so upset.
And their drive-through, their drive-through, sometimes they're drive like Sonic, like the drive-in.
And you have the sassy waitresses on roller skates and all that.
Yeah.
All that jazz.
That is really hard to do, by the way.
But the girls who do it, they do, like, there was one, like I think it's still open, by where I live, and the girls do like a show every 30 minutes in the roller skates where they're dancing, and I'm like, how?
Some of them are like experts. They're super good.
Really they're like really good.
I'm like, I never could roller skate to save my life. Rollerblade, I go to town.
They're racing down the hallways with the trays of food. I'm like, you.
I wonder if we're gonna see something like that in this series.
But roller skating,
like working at Sonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go through
Sonic
weeks.
do the roller skates.
They do. The one here that they just put on Staten Island, they do the roller skates when the weather is nice. And they put you through like a regimen for training to get used to the roller skates. But I don't know.
Maybe Veronica will take up a job at the place.
It seems like she's gonna have to, because it doesn't look like they have money unless her mom takes in this money and just is like, shoves it under the bed mattress or something.
Don't do that.
Yeah, I know. But I have a feeling that the way that the tone of the show is, everybody just likes to make bad decisions.
Yeah, we wouldn't have a show.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody's going to be making bad decisions. Kind of like the way Archie really disappointed Betty this episode. In the end, he really treated her like garbage.
He used that excuse. I fucking hate that. I'm not good enough for you. Oh, fuck you.
It's like, how do you have the right to choose what is right and what is not right for me? I'm like, I think I'll make my own decisions. Thank you. Fuck off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like Sandra Day was like making her own decisions. Like she told her mom, like, no, fuck you. I'm going to the game with Archie.
Yeah,
I'm not going with him. I'm not going with him. I'm going with him with Veronica too. But it's totally a date.
I don't think she liked that any better.
No, as soon as she heard Veronica's name, and she's like, Veronica Lodge? What? It's like, does this lady eat like anybody?
I'm sure this lady, Sandra Day's mother, probably was like in the inner circle with like Veronica's mother and Cheryl's mother. And like, I don't know, something happened. Like one girl bought a shirt that the other one wanted, and it was this whole thing.
Or they wore the same shirts to school one day, and it's just been, turmoil ever since. Yeah. Never do that in high school. Oh my God, that's like the worst thing you can ever do. Right. But I mean, I think we've pretty much discussed everything. We got a lot of our impressions out. Like, what is your overall, like, will you continue watching the show kind of thing? Or is it something you're just going to, like, watch on a whim here and there?
If it wasn't Archie, probably not. Because, the reason why I wanted to watch the show is because it was based off the comics, and it's just, it's different, but it was familiar. But I think had it not been that, it's one of those shows that I would have watched after it had ended.
Yeah. That's what hooked me too, was the Archie throw. So knowing that.
For me, it feels like a combination between Pretty Little Liars and Scream. Right? It's kind of got somewhat a similar feel there, where it's got like the same, not like the murder spree tone of Scream, but like the interactions the characters have. The interaction the characters have with that. Where in Pretty Little Liars, it really focuses on the girls and their secrets, and you don't get much of, oh, the town is invested in this, you know, because, like, we joke about that show all the time where we're like, and where are the parents? Like, the parents are never around. Like, they're always mentioned, but they're never, like, you see them maybe once every 5, 6, 7, sometimes episodes. And, you know, you don't get a sense of there's a town anymore. You just get a sense of this is the girls and, you know, a few of the guy characters and stuff like that, where Scream feels like a town, you know? So it's kind of a blend between the two of them. And to be honest, from someone who's never watched any of the Archie or read any of the Archie comic strips or anything like that, I'm not that interested in the show. I'm going to be honest, but I'm going to give it its fair chance. I'm going to watch through the first season. If I commit to a show, I will finish it through the first season. That's just how I am. So we'll see where it goes, and hopefully it surprises me. Brian does say in chat that he was honestly a little bit bored watching this. I don't blame him or even disagree. But gotta remember it's the first episode, and typically in first episodes there's a lot of character development that is needed to be able to push the story to allow you to do other things later. So it's kind of what's going on right now. It's very hard to judge a show like this by its first episode.
Yep. Kim?
What?
No input from Kim?
She's just like, what? It's a show.
What do you? I don't know. I mean, I have a lot of questions. I don't know if I'm 100% hooked. Like, I'm not like super like, oh my god, I gotta watch the show. But I'm gonna give it its chance. Yes.
I have high hopes because, I mean, I did read before we started that this show was originally supposed to be on Fox, but they were like, they canned the idea of it, and CW's like, we're not gonna let this go away. We're gonna grab it. And now that the CW has it, I have high hopes that it's going to get better.
High apple pie in the sky hopes?
Yes, exactly. With some ice cream on top.
Perfect cast.
So, I mean, I'm going to keep watching, that's for sure. Since we kind of got like, it's kind of like a 60-40 kind of going on because, you know, Kim's not sure. Dom's like, eh. And then me and Jake are like, yeah, well, we're going to do this because Archie. So you can expect this on the schedule coming up. So that means we have the second episode, which I'm going to read the synopsis of like right now. So next week is Chapter 2, A Touch of Evil. As new details of Jason's death begins to emerge, Archie pleads with Miss Grundy to come forward with what they heard at Sweetwater River. Betty makes an effort. The fireworks. Quotations. Betty makes an effort to mend her friendship with Archie, but takes a different stance with Veronica, who is trying to make up for her actions. The closet. With rumors around her brother's death running rampant, Cheryl deals with the pressure in true Queen Bee fashion, while tensions boil over when Jughead stumbles upon a secret Archie was hoping to keep hidden.
Dun dun dun.
Miss Grundy, maybe?
Or something.
There seems to be a few secrets that Archie's keeping.
B, can you fill us in? What is Queen Bee fashion?
It's bitch status.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. You know, sting your workers because you're a bitch. Yeah, that works. You know. Finally,
I got this shit. Fuck all you bitches.
Finally, plans for the annual fall prep rally moves forward with a performance by Josie and the Pussycats and a special appearance by Mayor McCoy. So, I mean, it's a pretty vague, general, long synopsis that we usually get at the beginning of seasons or the beginning of series that usually evolves into one or two sentences that tell us absolutely fuck all. Pardon my French.
She apologizes for it. Why over here? I'm like cussing up a storm. Like whatever. You take my bad mouth and you like it.
Yes. So, that's our show. Unless anybody else has anything to say.
No.
No? All right. Dom, where can people find you?
Find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM.
Jacob?
Someone else do my outro.
Join Jake at there.
Yeah. No.
There.
No, you don't do it right. Okay.
That's what you're supposed to do it yourself.
Okay, fine. Find me on YouTube at Jacob Salazar, or you can find me on Twitter. Tweet at me throughout the week, throughout the life at ToNowhereLand. That is TONOWHERELAND. Join the Nowhereland Society.
Love it. And Kim.
On Twitter is at HUFFITYPUFFIT.
So many songs.
Awesome. And because I'm a retard and didn't write down what we are and where we're from and how to get there, I'm gonna be stumbling and just Dom, please help me out.
No.
We can be found on a bunch of places at ASOTV podcast, and there's other things like my.
You know how to use Google.
Yes. Hey. No. YouTube,
Which one?
obviously. Twitter, Google Plus, Facebook.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's it.
The cough space.
I did that already.
Thanks for joining
Your
us,
book of
everyone.
faces.
And see you next time.
Hi guys.
Bye.
That wasn't so bad now, was it, Nikki?
Terrible.
I'm a
You're
dick.
terrible.
So
You were a good host.